today. We're just going to do a little bit of freestyle core. You're going to want some room around you. We'll do some side-to-side movements, so you'll want a little bit more space than maybe you normally have. Let's start by rolling the shoulders up, back, and around. Just getting some synovial fluid distributed through the joints, lubricating the cartilage. You might get some pops and clicks as connective tissue starts moving around. Let's alternate dipping the shoulders over the opposite knees. So you should feel the stretch right where your shoulder attaches at your chest. And let's take our cat and cow, just rounding up through the backs of your shoulders and inhaling, pressing up and forward, arching and flexing to your pace and your range of motion. As always, if you like, you can take this into Sufi grind, just adding a rotation to that basic movement. It'll feel like you're drawing a circle in the air with the crown of your head. And release, let's stick out your feet. Circle the ankles, just pointing and flexing your feet as much as you can. And then we'll pull the toes back toward the face and give yourself a reach forward. Then we'll take the feet wide. You can take your arms up overhead, relax your belly, drop your forehead over your knee, suck your belly into center and come back up. Relax your belly, suck your belly in. Relax your belly and suck your belly in. If you need to support your lower back more, you can use your hands as a brace. Try not to let your opposite sitting bone come with you. Leave that on the floor so that you are isolating the stretch through your QLs, which are between the bottoms of your ribs and the tops of your hips. Good. We'll start with warming up the abs. We'll point the toes, be up on your sitting bones, not back on your sacrum. Bring your arms up overhead, extend your feet, and bring your arms parallel to the floor. The next time your feet come out, leave them out. And we'll cross and uncross. Sort of imagine that there's a string at the center of your chest that's lifting you up so that you don't, again, roll back onto your sacrum. And you can sit up. It's a good idea to have your water bottle or a block or something like that out in front of you. You don't really need anything, but it's good to have a reference point. Bring both of your feet to either side of that object or to one corner of your mat. And you're going to pull down with your belly button and bring your feet over to the other side. Down with your belly, switch your feet. Corner to corner on the mat. Let's roll back onto your back with your feet flat to the floor, the knees pointed at the ceiling. Let's start with just regular breathing bridges, going straight up and down. So you squeeze your cheeks, lift your hips, and then roll it all the way back down. So your tailbone is the first thing to leave the floor, and your tailbone's the last thing to come back to the floor. If you want more, you can come up onto the balls of your feet. You'll have to squeeze a little harder, lift a little higher with that. If you're feeling warm enough, you can alternate and do one-legged bridges, but if you don't feel warm enough yet, we'll keep going with both feet on the floor. The next time the hips come up, leave them up. You're now going to take your knees out and in, like you're opening and closing a book. You want to keep your hips as high up off the floor as you can. You'll notice that as you take your knees out, your hips dip a little bit, and that's fine. But our work is to minimize that dip as much as possible. Keep your hips as high up as you can the entire time, so you'll really feel the medius starting to work as well as your abductors on the outsides of your thighs. And again, let's roll the spine all the way back to the floor. The tailbone's the last thing to come back. Let's turn onto your right side. So if you need to, you can rest your ear on your shoulder and have your arm extended, or you can be up on the forearm. Let's take taps and twists. So your top leg is your left leg. You're going to point your left toe behind you, pull your left knee all the way in, and then bring it over the top. So we don't want you to just take your knee over the top, because then you'll miss that work through the obliques. The next time your foot comes behind you, leave it there and extend your back foot behind you so it's not directly on top of your bottom leg, it's out behind you, and you're going to tap it and lift it. And now let's bring that left foot out in front of your right leg. You're going to flex your right foot, pull in with your belly and lift your leg, then relax it all down. Pull in with your belly, lift with your leg. In with the belly, lift with the leg. You'll feel the work on your bottom leg on the inside of the thigh. Good. Now before we switch over to the left side, let's come onto the belly first. Now that you're here on your belly, take your arms like goalposts, palms face the floor. And keeping your feet on the floor, you're going to pull up with your belly button and lift your chest and shoulders and relax it all down. Up with the belly button, relax the belly button. Up with the belly button, relax the belly button. Don't let your feet come with you. They'll want to come with you up a little bit. That means that your hamstrings are trying to take over and your lower back is wanting to get in on the work, and we don't want that. We want to keep all of our work into the upper back and the belly. Next time you come up, stay up. And you're going to tap your index fingers together out in front of you and then pull your elbows as far in and back as you can. So you're keeping your chest off of the floor. And come down. Next, let's flex at your right foot and your right knee. You're going to kick your heels straight up to the ceiling. It's okay for the front of your hip to leave the floor. And let's change sides. So straight up to the ceiling, like you're trying to stamp your footprint on the ceiling. And some people are really internally or externally rotated and their foot goes out or in. Try to minimize that as much as you can. Go straight up, if at all possible. And bring that down. Now let's take frog kicks. So you're going to bring your knees out a little bit, the soles of your feet together, and you're going to push your knees all the way up and back. So you're not going straight back, and you're not trying to go straight up. You're trying to go up and back. It's great if you can get your knees up off of the floor. Some of that is a function of how long your legs are. They might not come up off the floor, and that's okay. And down. Let's come on to the left side. So again, you can be up on your forearm, or you can be down on your shoulder if you need to be. We'll start with our taps and twists. Your top leg is your right leg. Tap your right toe behind you, pull your knee all the way in and over the top. Now let's extend your top leg, take it behind you. So again, it's not right on top, it's out behind, and it taps and lifts. Keep your belly button pulled in. And let's bring the right foot over the top of the left knee. So you'll flex at your left foot, in with the belly, up with the leg. In with the belly, up with the leg. Let's come into all fours on hands and knees. So as always, if being on the palms is not comfortable for you, you can always be in the flat part of your knuckles in gorilla fists, and this way your wrist stays straight. This isn't going to do anything for you. This will help. You can also have your forearm on the floor if you need to take your wrists out of the equation entirely. Let's first step the right toes back for a calf stretch. Some people like to bounce into the stretch. I don't, so I don't demonstrate it, but you are welcome to do that. Let's change sides. And we'll bring this in. So for your baby bear choice, you can cat and cow as much or as little as you like, as fast or as slow as you'd like to go. If mama bear is more your thing, you can go from downward facing dog to all fours. Downward facing dog to all fours. If Papa Bear is more your thing, there's no problems with the wrist, shoulders, or low back. You can go from downward facing dog to upward facing dog. In all three cases, you're using your belly button like a lawnmower starter. You're pulling it up and back. And let's meet back at all fours. Let's take a running bird dog, and running doesn't necessarily mean fast, it just means alternating. So we'll take, keeping your belly button pulling up, your right leg and your left arm, then bring those down. Then your left leg and right arm, bring those down. And just take this at your own pace and range of motion. Remember that your core likes to have evenly distributed body weight. If weight is deviating from the center or midline of the body, it wants to bring that weight back to center. So we've added some challenge because your leg is heavier than your arm and they're going in opposite directions, and we have that effect on opposite sides of the body. So your core is really having to do a lot of work here. The next time you come out with your right leg and left arm, you'll stop. Bring yourself out to the side. Your right leg to the right, your left arm to the left, and to center. Side to center. And it's important that your foot doesn't dip very much. You want to keep it relatively level as it's traveling. If you let the foot dip, it means your low back has gotten involved. The next time you come to center, stay there. You're going to pull your elbow in and your knee up, but the inside of the thigh faces the floor. So you're not pulling your knee in, you're pulling it out and up. So the knee and the shin point to your right. And release. We're going to take that two-part sequence on the opposite side. Your left leg out, your right arm out. The left leg goes to the left, the right arm goes to the right. Try to keep your left foot level. And then we'll take the bend and extend. Keep your inner thigh parallel to the floor. The knee and shin go out to the left. And come back to center. Let's take your right arm up and your right foot out. You can stop here. You can also hover that right leg parallel to the floor. You can stop there. You can come out into a full side plank and stop there, or you can kick your left leg out and bring your right arm to meet it. Pull it up. And bring it all in. To the other side, so that I can still face you. I'm going to change direction on the mat. You can just do the arm and the leg out. You can, you can hover the left leg. You can come out into a full side plank, or you can grab hold of your right leg with your left arm. And back. Let's take turbo dog. We're just going to curl your toes under and hover your shins parallel to the floor. It's a good substitute for plank, especially if you have lower back problems. It's not any easier, but it's a good substitute. And release, and you can uncurl the toes, push your hips back to your heels, and come down into child's pose. While you're still in child's pose, let me tell you where we're headed next. We're going to be playing with poses from downward facing dog. So we'll start with some support. We'll be on the hands and knees, then we'll come up into downward facing dog and take things up a notch in the fashion of Emeril Lagasse, of course. And you will be shifting your weight from side to side. So again, you want to have some space around you that's free and available for you to use, that you're not going to accidentally step on something and hurt yourself. So we start out back on all fours just real briefly. You're going to kick out your right leg, bend your right knee, let your right foot kind of travel over to your left side. So we don't want you to be putting your foot toward the ceiling. Put it out toward the left and reach around with your left hand and see if you can't find purchase. Bring it down. On the other side, the left leg extends, the left leg bends. Drop your left foot over to the right so that your right hand can find it easily. And then you can kick your foot up and back. If you get your foot too far over to the right, you'll fall to the right. If you let your knee get too heavy, you'll fall to the left. Good. Bring it back to center. So we're going to take first wild thing, and then starfish, and then a cross hold. And we'll do that on each side. So first come into downward facing dog. And we're going to kick up. I think you'll be able to see me from my positioning if we do the left foot first. Kick up your left leg as high as you can. You can stop here, especially if you have low back problems or wrist or shoulder difficulty. This might be a good place to stop. Mama bear, you can drop your left foot over toward your right elbow. And so you get this nice stretch down the front of your thigh. It should feel good. And for Papa Bear, you pivot on your right foot, where your right toes were pointing forward. They're now pointed out to the left. Your right arch is on the floor, and your left arm comes up overhead. Your front leg is your right leg, it's straight. Your back leg is your left leg, it's bent, and you're pushing your hips up. Then we'll come back to your three-legged dog. Now we take starfish. So this left foot that's in the air is going to cross underneath, and you'll kick out your foot to the outside of your right pinky. So your left blade side of the foot is on the floor, and you're going to, this is important, if you stay on the ball of your right foot, it's going to be extremely uncomfortable. So you'll turn your right toes to the right so that your right arch is on the floor, and then you'll take your left arm up. Both knees are straight. And bring it back to that three-legged dog. You might need to adjust yourself real briefly. Bend at your left knee, And we're going to grab hold, perhaps, with your right hand. And here again, if your knee gets too low or your foot gets too low, you'll drop down. Back to downward facing dog. And let's have a quick child's pose. You can roll out your wrists if you need to. We'll take it again. One of the main things about wild thing and starfish is the position of your arch on the floor. Far too many people stay up on the ball of their foot, and in addition to it being uncomfortable and much harder to do because you're not as stable, it puts you in a bad position to twist your knee and possibly tear your ACL. So it's important that you keep your arch on the floor. Let's come back up to downward facing dog. Take your three-legged dog by taking your right foot up. Bend your right knee. You can stop right here if you like. Your toes are still pointed forward. Now we're going to pivot on the ball of your left foot so that the toes point to the right, and you'll come into wild thing. Your front leg is your left leg, it's straight. Your back leg is your right leg, and it's bent, and you're pushing your hips up with your right arm in the air. Bring it back to that three-legged dog. So again, your toes point forward on the supporting side. Now your right foot is going to come underneath your body, and you're going to pivot on your left foot. So now the left arch is on the floor, the right arch is on the floor, both knees are straight, and the left arm comes up overhead. Back to your three-legged dog, and you might need to reposition yourself here. Your right knee bends. See what happens when you grab hold with your left hand. You might fall, that might be what happens. And then again, let's meet in child's pose. You can roll out your wrists if you need to. Since we're in child's pose and I've already moved sort of to the back of my mat, it seems like there's no reason not to do tiger, which we used to call creepy crawler. So I'm going to go backwards this time, since a lot of my viewers are more advanced. I'm going to give you the papa bear first, then the mama bear, and then the baby bear. So basically we're going from child's pose to chaturanga. Not child to plank to chaturanga. Just child to chaturanga. You're trying to stay as low to the ground as you can, like a crouching tiger. So from child, you pull all the way through to chaturanga. And then you drop it back all the way to child. Come through to chaturanga. If that is not available to you, mama bear, you just come all the way through with your forearms staying on the floor. And if that's still not available, baby bear, you're in child's pose and you just rock as far forward onto your knees and elbows as you can. So your feet come up with you, and then they set back down with you. So again, child to chaturanga. As many as you can, and bring it back. Let's come onto the knee, both knees, but we'll be standing on your right knee first. And I'm sorry, I can't remember right now how YouTube flips the image, so what you're seeing may be different than what I'm saying. It'll all come out in the wash. You'll be balanced on either side, so if I'm not saying my rights and lefts according to what you're seeing, do whatever. You can come with me or you can adjust to what I'm saying. So in my experience, I'm standing on my right knee and my left knee is extended. My arms have come up overhead. I then released my fingers and released my index fingers. The first thing we're going to do is go to the closed side of your body, the side where your leg is extended. So for me, that's to my left. You're going to relax your belly, dip as far as you can, suck your belly in, come back to center. So you will notice that as you start to get deeper, you'll push your foot into the floor, as a break. Now let's take it to the open side of your body, which for me is to the right. We don't have this break. It's a lot harder to control, so make sure you're going slowly enough that you can catch yourself if you need to. Dip to center. Dip to center. And let's change sides. So now I'm on my left knee, my right knee is extended. Again, we're going to the right, or I'm going to go to my right because it's the closed side. Relax the belly, pull the belly in. Relax the belly, pull the belly in. And now let's go to the open side. Dip to center. Relax the belly, pull the belly. Since we're in position for it, let's come down into stargazer. We'll start cooling down here. So I'm just going to sit back onto my left hip. In my experience, it's my left foot that's tucked in and my right leg that is extended. And we're going to press up and forward with your back hip so that you come onto the shin and the sole. So for me, it's my left shin and my right sole. And down. Press up and down. Let's take two more. Change sides, so just switching, and again, you might be following the directions as they're being said, or you might be following them as you're seeing them. Both are fine. Let's just do one more. This is a tight side for me. Good. And let's bring ourselves back to seated. Let's take a little bit more work with the arms. We did a lot of work in the pectorals. So let's address the back side of the arm. Take your hands behind you, the palms face the ceiling, then make little crab claws so that your fingertips point at the ceiling. You're going to keep your hands as high up behind you as you can and squeeze your hands towards and away from one another. Watch that you're not going to drop your head. Keep your chin parallel to the floor. If you drop your head, you start to activate your trapezius muscles on the tops of your shoulders, those fleshy parts of your shoulders, and those are already overworked and overutilized, so we really don't want them to get in on the action. We want to isolate this movement so that your triceps are the ones getting the benefit. And then let's take the deltoid pulse. You just bring your arms out parallel to the floor, palms face the floor. You just make a little pulsing motion, and you really feel this outside at the top of your shoulder working. This is the part of your shoulder that looks really nice in a tank top or something like that. So with the triceps, I know a lot of people, especially women, are concerned about the bat wing effect. And that is just skin that has lost elastin. There's nothing you can really do about it except try to fill it up with muscle a little bit. But if you can't have a good back arm, back part of your arm, you might as well have a really nice top of your arm, is the feeling that I have. So if you are feeling bad about your bat wings, take care of your deltoids, no one will notice. And let's deal with the rotator cuff. So let's take the arms out to the side, thumbs up, and go through your full range of motion. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Try to keep your arms out parallel to the floor so that you're not pulling on your neck or the tops of your shoulders. This one gets really old really fast, and it's an unfortunate thing in yoga as in life that usually if you don't like to do something, it's good for you and you need to do it anyway. So I don't do these things to you, I'm doing them for you because I love you all and I don't want you to tear a rotator cuff. So I know you don't like it, but you'll get over it. Of course, you've probably stopped by now because this is a video and I can't see you giving me the finger. So, you know, that's exercise too. Good, and release. Again, let's roll the shoulders up, back, and around. Let's take the hands as high up behind your back as you can and pull the elbows to the wall behind you. This will stretch out your bicep tendon and it should feel pretty good. Release your hands. Let's stretch out the outer IT bands. We did some work in the glute medius, so this will probably feel nice as well. Bring your feet flat to the floor, knees pointed at the ceiling. We're going to stack the knees. So for me, I just like to get one foot out of the way. You don't have to tuck it in if your knees are bad. You can extend it out, but this is just how I like to do it. Baby bear, you interlace your fingers in front of your knee, pull your knee into your chest. If you're not getting a stretch down the outside of the hip, thigh, and buttock, you might need mama bear, crossing the ankle over the knee. It is okay for your hip to be off the floor, but you want to get as low to the floor as you can. And then papa bear is knee over knee. And you can intensify any of those stretches by leaning forward. You should find some pretty intense stretch through the outer IT band, glute medius, and piriformis. Okay. Let's change sides. Incidentally, this crossing or stacking of the knees is a good alternative to pigeon and threaded needles. If you don't care for either one of those, you can still get a good IT band stretch doing this. And it's knee friendly. Now let's stretch out the inner thighs. Bring the soles of the feet together. The knees come out to the side. You can either butterfly the knees as your baby bear. You should feel a stretch around the hip socket somewhere. You can also press down on the insides of the knees toward the floor. You can also press down and roll forward. You can grab hold of one of your legs, doesn't matter which, at the arch and at the knee, and just sort of zhuzh it around, give it a little stir. If you like, you can kick it out. You don't have to be able to grab hold of your foot. You can grab the back of your thigh or whatever. We just are interested in stretching out the hamstrings. And we'll take it on the other side. Just stir it around. And if you like, give it a kick. It's these moments on camera that I'm really worried about people taking screenshots. So don't be an asshole and do that. And bring it back to center. We were on the hands and knees quite a lot, so let's stretch out the wrists going the opposite direction. So you're going to take the backs of your hands together and the elbows are up. Then you'll pull the elbows down as hard as you can. You sort of push the backs of your hands in together. So what we're looking for is the stretch across the front or the top of the wrist. So they've been in a flex state. Let's extend them out. If you like, you can sort of swing your fingers like a little bell and just ignore the fact that you sort of look like a walrus asking for a fish. And just roll the wrist. And this is a good thing to do anytime you happen to think of it, just like with ankle circles. The more muscle you have, the more bone you need to support the muscle. And so since we are doing lots of arm balances and work on the hands and balance work on the feet, having strong ankles and wrists can really make a difference and make you a lot more comfortable in your practice. So it's just a good thing to take with you. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that, and whether you did or not, there's nothing I can do about it. So I will see you at the next video.